Trevor Moawad is the renowned mental conditioning coach of elite athletes, the U.S. Special Forces, and Fortune 500 executives. Sports Illustrated calls Trevor the world's best brain trainer. He is author of this book, It Takes What It Takes, How to Think Neutrally and Gain Control of Your Life. And he's an old friend of mine. I asked Trevor about this book and the philosophy behind neutral thinking. To kick it off, why is neutral thinking necessary?
The self-help industry has had a lot of problems reaching a wider audience because of such a strong emphasis on being positive. And you're kind of always told, hey, don't worry about it, be positive, be positive, be positive, go meditate, all those things. My book's a lot different than that. I think you can eventually get to a point where some of those principles make sense, but the idea that we really focus on of neutral thinking is this idea of a real acknowledgement that when you're in a difficult situation, that's real, but it's not predictive. And how you respond and what you do and on that next step is what's controllable.
Now, Trevor, how did you develop the concept of neutral thinking?
At the end of my first year working with Alabama football and Nick Saban, all of that was really clear was that negative thinking worked negatively, but that negativity was, a multiple of 4 to 7 times more powerful than positivity. And so as you start to understand that, then you say, all right, the reduction of negativity, if the data around positive thinking is anecdotal, is really where we got to win.
Is it the internal voice that's so bad, or that out loud voice?
Well, so when we realize when I say something out loud, it's 10 times more powerful than when I think it. And if it's negative, it's a multiple of 4 to 7 times more powerful than positivity. Then you start to learn that the externalization of negative thoughts, we can't make it, my son's never going to be this, I can't fix this relationship. We're increasing the probability by 70 times that what we don't want to have happen will happen.
Now, what are some of the effects of negativity?
As negativity fills us, we lose our creativity by about 18%, according to recent studies out of Georgetown. Our decision-making can drop by almost 40%. Our willingness to make a decision, we start to panic. We're not as confident making decisions as we're filled up with negativity. And then there's a lot of physiological elements.
Next, Trevor offers an example of the effects of negativity and touches on this question of, in May of 2020, are we simply bathing in a sea of negativity?
When we watch TV, cable news, 3 minutes of cable news increases our probability by 27%. That will say we had a terrible day. Well, now a lot of people have been home a lot more. So instead of having that life balance where they're interacting with other people, that TV might be on 3 times as much. And the deceptive part, Bo, is we're like, well, I need to know what's going on. I need to stay educated.
Here he goes on to say that TV is a terrible place to get educated, full stop. Now, turning the page a bit, I asked Trevor to reflect on the difficulty of facing the brutal facts. Now, it's easy to see when you've thrown an interception. That's a brutal fact. But business and family life are often not as clear-cut as athletics. And Trevor responds in this way.
So I think sports are easier relative to bias, Bo. I think that's true. But there's still a lot of people that throw interceptions that will come up with 80 reasons why that happened that had nothing to do with them. Even though, and I think that's where Russell, neutral is going to the truth. The truth is I threw an interception. Okay, now why? Now, I just think the idea of neutral, Bo, is what's the truth without bias. And bias is tough. But I think the more we can look at it, or the awareness to recognize this is my bias.
One of Trevor's clients is Russell Wilson, the All-Star Seahawks quarterback. It's an objective fact that Russell is one of the highest achieving neutral thinkers in sports today. It's also quite possible that no one knows Russell's mind better than Trevor Moawad. Now listen to this.
Russell Wilson, who started his career at $280,000 a year, and 8 years later is $36 million a year and the highest paid player in the history of football, with no trajectory that would have ever suggested that outside of behavior. There was no aptitude that jumped out at you. But if you're negative, you don't have a space in his life. You can't exist in his life. And even if you're a good influence like me, if I go down the wrong road, he'll put me in timeout for a period of weeks until I'm allowed to like come back and re-enter general population. What I love about that is social Darwinism. I always have put myself around people that are way better than me.
All this talk about sports, look, it's not about the ball. I'm going to read from chapter 2 of It Takes What It Takes. People are surprised to find out that I'm not a sports fan. I'm a fan of growth. I believe in people. Wherever that journey starts for them, I can see what they will become when weaponized with the right behaviors. So what's the big takeaway? Now listen to this twice. Write it down and do it. This is Trevor Moawad, your mental conditioning coach. Do what he says.
The best advice I have to your people kind of going forward, is where am I letting negativity come in my life? And where can I minimize it? Do I understand the things that allow someone to be good in my job? And am I driving towards those behaviors, not outcomes, but behaviors on a consistent basis? And then I think, what are 5 things I could not do going forward in this next week, this next month, this next year? 5 things I could not do that could change my life. So much of what makes a world-class athlete is not what they do, but what he or she is willing not to do. What they don't eat, what they don't watch, what they don't consume, who they don't spend time with, what they don't, look at. One of the things we do with our athletes, first 30 minutes of the day, no social media, last 30 minutes of the night, no social media. And anytime we park at a parking lot, we're going to walk from that parking lot straight to our office. We're not going to look at a phone. That phone's going to be in our bag so we can engage the world. Who we are speaks so loudly, nobody can hear a word we say. And I think that's the opportunity we have. And your past, you're responsible for it, but I want your audience to really understand what you do next is going to define who you become next. The minimization of negativity gives us the courage, I think, to move into that future more confidently.
Trevor added a vote of confidence in Lend It FinTech Digital, which of course we appreciated and couldn't resist adding to this highlight reel.
Bo, I love what you guys are doing. I think education is like lottery tickets. The more we have, the better chance we have to win. A lot of people obviously can succeed without it, but I'd rather have 1,000 lottery tickets than 10. And I think you guys are providing that for an important population.
And we'll give Trevor this final word as he comments on what it's like to be in the field of sports psychology.
I love sports as a chance to prove that I can be of value, and I've never signed more than a 1-year contract. So if I don't perform or I don't help at places like Alabama, then I'm out. And that's the big world. Now sports doesn't pay, like some of these other guys, but like I said, I watch the business psychology world, and I just said, man, I'd love to see you come survive 5 minutes with your stupid bullshit in that world. I'm going to see you soon, Bo, and let's stay in touch. Give my best to your whole family, okay?
Thanks, bro. Great talking to you, man.
Bye, brother.
Love you, bud. Bye.
Love you.
Until next time, keep up the hard work and take care.